Hello again, friends. Miss Joseph here, and I'm still in Allegan looking at this beautiful sunset. I'm still on chapter 9, and I am about to read the second part of it. So, this is The White Giraffe by Lauren St. John, and we are on chapter 9. We left off with the last thing that Martine saw before she crumpled to the ground was the white giraffe. So, without further ado, let's read on. Something was tickling Martine's face. Something that blew warm, sweet air reminiscent of a freshly mown lawn on a summer's day in England, or strawberries at Wimbledon, or the rose garden in the Greenwich Park in London, which she had visited one spring on a school trip. There was something else in the scent, too, something wild and exotic and African. Africa! Martine suddenly came to and realized that she was not dozing in the hammock in her garden in safe suburban England. She had illicitly entered a South African game reserve in the middle of the night, and something was sniffing at her and possibly preparing to eat her. Cautiously, she opened one eye. A pair of liquid black eyes framed by impossibly long lashes stared down at her. "You saved my life," she said. The white giraffe drew back with a nervous snort. It gave a half rear, like a horse, and retreated to a safe distance. Martine climbed carefully to her feet. The white giraffe towered over her. The sky had cleared a little, and in the dim light of the watery moon, Martine could see it was an immensely beautiful creature. Its coat shimmered like sunlit snow, and it was patterned all over with patches of silver tinged with cinnamon. Oh, I love that description. She reached out her hand to it, and it wheeled around and made as if to flee before sliding to a halt. Breathing hard and shaking. The wildlife book in her room had explained that although giraffes are basically very gentle creatures, they are quite capable of using their long front legs to kick with force if they feel threatened. But something told Martine that this particular giraffe would never hurt her. She reached out her hand again and took a couple steps toward it. "It's all right," she said soothingly. "It's all right. I only want to stroke you, not to harm you." This time the giraffe stood still. When her fingers made contact with its skin, it quivered with fear, but didn't move away. Martine felt a tingle of electricity run up her arm, the same tingle she'd felt when Grace had put a hand on her forehead. In that instant, she had a strange sense she knew exactly what the animal was thinking. She knew, for example, without having any idea why, that his name was Jeremiah, Jemmy for short. And she knew that Jemmy was lonely, every bit as lonely as she was. "I'm alone too," Martine confided in the giraffe. 5 weeks ago, I lost everything I loved in a fire in England. Now I live with my grandmother who doesn't want me, and go to a school where I don't fit in." The white giraffe watched her warily. He didn't respond. Instead, he sidled restlessly out of range so she could no longer touch him. Perhaps, thought Martine, he was waiting for a sign that he could trust her. And who could blame him? If she wanted to get close to him, the first thing she was going to have to do was prove to him that she was a friend. But how? Then it came to her. In England, her mom and dad had a poster in their bedroom of a dove being released into a sunset. On it was written, "If you love something, set it free. If it comes back to you, it's yours. If it doesn't, it never was." Martine could remember, as if it were yesterday, her mom's voice reading it aloud to her, and then saying with a smile, "Isn't that wonderful, Martine? And it's true. The more you love something, the more you have to give it space to find its own way in the world. That way, you'll know that if it comes back to you, it's because it truly cares for you." As miraculous as it was that she'd found the white giraffe, Martine knew she had to walk away from him. She took a last lingering look at him. Her heart ached as if she were losing a friend she'd only just made. But somehow she knew they'd meet again. For reasons she didn't fully understand, she felt as if their souls were already entwined. "Thank you for saving my life, Jeremiah," she said, adding hopefully, "See you soon." With that, she began picking her way through the mud to the grassy track. She was a bit hazy on the fate of the cobra, but she hoped it was either extremely dead or cowering in its burrow. She wasn't sure she would survive another encounter with it. She was almost there when a twig snapped like a firecracker in the darkness. Martine had never been much of an athlete, but she was on the verge of sprinting like an Olympian for the house when she spotted a reflection in the water. The white giraffe was following her. She pretended to walk on. The mirrored giraffe stepped gracefully after her, his white gold coat and silvery patches flowing across the steely water like an elegant ghost. Martine paused. The white giraffe paused. She continued. The white giraffe continued. She swung around abruptly. The giraffe slid to an awkward stop in the mud. He contemplated Martine from his great height. He seemed inquisitive now, rather than afraid. Martine craned her neck and tried to read his expression. She decided that it was like gazing into the eyes of the wisest creature on earth, and the most innocent at the same time. Her overwhelming impression was one of gentleness. She waited to see what the giraffe would do. At first, nothing happened, but then he lowered his head, inch by inch, until his slender nose was close enough to touch. Again, Martine smelled his clean, newly cut grass scent. She longed to put her palm against his satiny white jaw, but she forced herself to stay still. Then something extraordinary happened. The giraffe rested his head on Martine's shoulder and made a low, musical, fluttering sound. For one perfect moment they stood there, the small girl and the white giraffe, mirrored in the moonlit water. It was only a minute, but it was long enough for the emotions and confusion of the past few weeks to leave Martine in a rush and suffuse her with a feeling of contentment. She knew then that she'd come home. A lion roared. In the eerily quiet aftermath of the storm, the sound blasted through the night as though the beast was about to pounce on them. Martine and the giraffe were in full flight in opposite directions before either of them had given the matter any conscious thought. There were no goodbyes. By the time she'd reached the safety of the garden, the white giraffe had vanished, as if he had never been seen, or as if he had never been. All right, so that was chapter 9. Next up is chapter 10. There's a little sneak peek there. All right, I hope you guys enjoyed this magical chapter. I know I did. I think it's been my favorite one so far. All right, well, I hope that you all have a great night, and I look forward to reading with you guys again. Sorry, I'm like all sorts of... I can't talk today. I have little mosquitoes all over me. All right. See you guys. Have a great day.